December 14, 2024, Sydney, Australia. A Hanukkah celebration at Bondi Beach. 2 gunmen open fire on the crowd. 15 people are killed. And then this happens. A 43-year-old fruit shop owner named Ahmed Al-Ahmed rushes from behind a car, tackles one of the gunmen, wrestles the rifle away from him. He gets shot 5 times in the process. He's Muslim. He just saved dozens of Jewish lives. The world calls him a hero. The Australian Prime Minister calls him a hero. The Israeli Prime Minister, initially thinking he was Jewish, calls him a hero, then corrects himself when he finds out Ahmed is Muslim, and still calls him a hero. $2 million raised on GoFundMe. Universal praise. But I want you to watch what happens next. Because this has happened before, and there's a pattern that reveals something about Islam that needs to be hidden, a pattern that reveals something about how narrative gets constructed. Let me tell you about Ahmed Al-Ahmed, because the details matter, and they're already starting to disappear from the narrative. On December 14, 2024, he was having coffee near Bondi Beach when he heard gunshots. A Hanukkah celebration was underway. About 2,000 people gathered to mark the first night of the holiday. 2 gunmen, a father and son, opened fire with rifles. The footage shows Ahmed crouching behind parked cars, moving closer to one of the gunmen. The shooter is crouched near a tree, firing at the crowd. Ahmed charges from behind, tackles him, wrestles for the weapon, gets the rifle away, and then the second gunman, on a nearby bridge, starts shooting at Ahmed. Think about what this means. This man saw armed gunmen shooting at a crowd. He had time to run away. He was behind cover. He could have stayed there until police arrived. Instead, he ran toward the gunfire. He tackled a man with a rifle, while another gunman was actively shooting. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said, "These Australians are heroes, and their bravery has saved lives." Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said, "We saw an action of a brave man, turns out a Muslim brave man, and I salute him that stopped one of these terrorists from killing innocent Jews." Notice that Netanyahu initially thought the hero was Jewish. He had to correct himself when Ahmed was identified. $2 million raised on GoFundMe for his medical expenses and recovery. Universal praise, hero status, recognition. Now, I want you to remember this moment, because I'm going to show you what happened to the last Muslim hero who saved Jewish lives, and then we're going to watch whether Ahmed's story follows the same trajectory, because there's a pattern. January 9, 2015, Paris, France, Hyper Kasher Kosher supermarket. A terrorist named Amedy Coulibaly storms in with a Kalashnikov. This is 2 days after the Charlie Hebdo attack. Working in the store that day is a 24-year-old employee named Lassana Bathily, a Malian Muslim. Came to France as undocumented migrant at age 16, worked at the kosher supermarket as a stock clerk. The Jewish customers were like family to him, he said. When Coulibaly bursts in shooting, Bathily is in the basement stocking shelves. He hears gunfire upstairs, sees customers fleeing down the stairs. Here's what he does. He herds about a dozen people into the walk-in freezer, turns off the light, turns off the freezer cooling system so it doesn't make noise, tells them to stay quiet and stay calm. Then he escapes through a goods lift, gets outside, and alerts police. He gives them the layout of the store, tells them where the hostages are hiding. But here's what happens when he gets outside. Police see a young black Muslim man emerging from a kosher supermarket under attack. They assume he's an accomplice. He's forced to the ground, handcuffed, held for 90 minutes while he's trying to explain he works there. He just saved people. Here's the layout of the store. Finally, a colleague recognizes him. They let him go. He provides crucial information that helps police storm the building. 4 hostages were already dead. But the people Bathily hid in the freezer, including a mother with a baby, survived. The story goes viral. Bathily becomes an international hero. President François Hollande receives him at the Élysée Palace. Ah, here is my favorite, Frenchman. He's granted French citizenship in a special ceremony. Prime Minister Manuel Valls personally hands him his passport. Social media campaign starts. Give Bathily the Legion of Honor, France's highest distinction. Tens of thousands support it. One survivor tells Liberation newspaper, "The media and officials wanted to paint this pretty picture, that he helped us escape downstairs, that he hid us, and so on," which wasn't really true, but that's not Lassana's fault. At that moment, we needed a hero. Another survivor, Johan Dorai, publishes a book where he writes, "At no time in the basement did I see Lassana Bathily perform a heroic act." Other survivors claim they turned off the freezer. They decided to hide. Bathory was just there. Bathory starts receiving messages on social media, racist messages, people calling him a dirty liar, and the Legion of Honor. He doesn't get it. But you know who does get the Legion of Honor? A police dog, killed in the November 2015 attacks. The dog gets France's highest honor posthumously. Bathory doesn't. Bathory's response when asked about people minimizing his actions: "It really hurt my feelings. But if they don't want to recognize what I did for them, that's their problem. I did what had to be done." Today, 10 years later, how often do you hear about Lassana Bathory? When's the last time you saw his story? When's the last time someone mentioned the Muslim hero who saved Jews in Paris? The story faded. And now let me show you why. The action is too public to suppress completely. Video footage exists, eyewitnesses, media coverage. It goes viral internationally. With Bathory, footage of him, survivors' testimonies, international coverage. With Ahmed, video of him tackling the gunman, shot 5 times, international coverage. The action is undeniable. There's a window of immediate recognition. Leaders praise them. Rewards given. Citizenship, money raised, public acknowledgement. With Bathory, French citizenship, received at Élysée Palace, international hero. With Ahmed, $2 million raised, praised by Australian and Israeli PMs, universal hero status. The recognition feels comprehensive. Then, quietly, the minimization starts. It's subtle at first. Some say his role was exaggerated. Trauma affects memory. Other people were heroes too. The media wanted a feel-good story. With Bathory, survivors start questioning. The media painted a picture. It wasn't really true. Officials wanted a hero for political reasons. With Ahmed, watch for this. Has it started yet? Are there articles adding complexity? Are survivors being interviewed with different recollections? The major recognitions, the ones that create permanent cultural memory, don't come. With Bathory, no Legion of Honor. The police dog gets it, he doesn't. With Ahmed, watch this space. Will there be a major Australian honor, a permanent memorial? Or will it be we gave him money, that's enough? Finally, either the story fades from public memory, or if the hero objects to the minimization, that objection is used as evidence. See, he's demanding recognition. He wants attention. This proves Muslims are never satisfied. This proves they're manipulative. With Bathory, the story faded. When's the last time you heard about him? 10 years later, silence. With Ahmed, will his story still be told in 10 years? Or will it fade, like Bathory's? This isn't about ingratitude from individuals. This is about a systematic pattern of ensuring these stories don't create permanent cultural memory. And there's a reason for that. So why does this pattern exist? What would happen if Muslim heroes who saved Jewish lives were amplified the way Jewish heroes who saved Muslims would be? Here's what you'd see. Islamic principles against killing civilians actually work. Ahmed al-Ahmed didn't save those people despite being Muslim. He saved them because of his Islamic principles. The Prophet Muhammad said, "Whoever kills a person who has a treaty with the Muslims will never smell the fragrance of paradise." He said, "Do not kill women, children, the elderly, or those who do not fight you." The Quran says, "Whoever kills a soul, it is as if he had slain mankind entirely, and whoever saves one, it is as if he had saved mankind entirely." Ahmed and Bathory acted from these principles. They saw innocent people being killed, and their Islamic values said, "Stop this." And it's not just these two. There's a pattern. Studies show Muslim communities in America cooperate with law enforcement more than the general public gives them credit for. Many terror plots have been disrupted because of tips from Muslim communities. If all of this were amplified, you'd see a pattern. Muslims are on the front lines stopping terrorism, not causing it. But if that pattern becomes visible, it threatens something. It threatens the Muslims as civilizational threat framework. The framework collapses. And here's the deeper threat: copycat heroism. If Ahmed's story and Bathory's story were amplified the way, say, Oskar Schindler's story was amplified, what would happen? Young Muslims would see these men as role models. They'd see that protecting innocence, even at great personal risk, is the Islamic thing to do. They'd see that this is how you live your faith. Community norms would form around, If you see something, you intervene. That's what Muslims do. The social pressure within Muslim communities would shift toward protective intervention and cooperation with authorities. This would make Muslim communities less suspect and less susceptible to extremism, not more. It would make society safer, not more dangerous. But it would also make the threat narrative unsustainable, and that threat narrative serves purposes. Let me show you the theological framework that requires this minimization. In Genesis 27, there's a weird story. Allegedly Jacob, with his mother Rebekah's help, deceives his blind father Isaac. He tricks Isaac into giving him the blessing meant for his older brother Esau. He uses goat skins to make his smooth skin feel hairy like Esau's. He lies directly, "I am Esau, your firstborn." He steals the blessing through deliberate fraud. Esau finds out. He's devastated. He's angry. Genesis 27:41. Esau held a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing his father had given him. He said to himself, "The days of mourning for my father are near, then I will kill my brother Jacob." Now this story makes no sense, because the prediction of Esau, the elder brother serving Jacob, was made before their birth. But that aside, now notice, Esau's hatred has a cause. He was defrauded. His inheritance was stolen through deception. His response is reactive. But later, Jewish theology takes this story and extracts a principle. It is a halakha, a law, that Esau hates Jacob. Not Esau hated Jacob because Jacob deceived him, but Esau hates Jacob period, as if it's a metaphysical constant, a law of nature, eternal causeless hatred. In later interpretation, Esau comes to represent Rome, Christianity, the Gentile world, the West, and Jacob represents Israel, the Jewish people. So the framework becomes, the Gentile world eternally hates the Jewish people. It's just how things are. It's metaphysical. It requires no cause. No matter what happens, no matter what we do, they hate us. What happens when a Muslim saves Jewish lives? If the framework is Esau hates Jacob, eternal, causeless, metaphysical hatred, then 1. Muslim saves Jewish lives, proves nothing. Esau still hates Jacob. Maybe he's trying to gain our trust. Maybe it's taqiyya, deception. The fundamental hatred remains. 2. Jewish survivor minimizes Muslim hero. Understandable. Given that Esau hates Jacob, we can't fully trust even those who save us. Who knows their real motives? 3. Muslim asks for recognition. See, this proves they want something. They want us to lower our guard. Esau hates Jacob. This is just manipulation. 4. Muslim doesn't ask for recognition. He knows we see through him. Esau hates Jacob. He's being strategic by not seeming to want attention. Every outcome confirms the framework. It's unfalsifiable. The framework makes it impossible to accept that a Muslim might genuinely protect Jews due to Islamic principles. Because Esau hates Jacob means the hatred is ontological, built into reality. But here's the problem. Ahmed and Bathory broke the framework. They didn't just not hate, they risked their lives, they got shot, they nearly died protecting Jews. If the framework is right, if Esau hates Jacob is a law of nature, this shouldn't be possible. So what do you do with evidence that contradicts your framework? You minimize it. His role was exaggerated, or other people were heroes too. The media needed a feel-good story. We're the real victims here. You minimize the evidence so the framework can remain intact, because if the framework falls, if Esau hates Jacob is not a law of nature but a constructed narrative, then a lot of things have to be reevaluated. Let me be very clear about what's at stake here. If Muslim heroism in protecting Jewish lives were amplified the way Jewish heroism is amplified, here's what would happen. All of this makes society safer and more just, but it also disrupts surveillance state justifications, military intervention rationales, domestic political narratives, threat-based policy frameworks, asymmetric power structures, so the pattern must remain hidden, not through overt suppression, that would be too obvious, but through minimization. Role was exaggerated, complication, trauma affects memory, denial of lasting honors, no Legion of Honor, allowing stories to fade. How often do you hear about Bathory? Weaponizing any objection, demanding recognition, proves suspicion. Ahmed and Bathory aren't being minimized because of who they are as individuals. They're being minimized because of what their actions represent. Islamic principles producing protection of innocence, Muslim communities as part of the solution rather than the problem. Esau hates Jacob framework breaking under the weight of evidence. That pattern cannot be allowed to become visible. So watch what happens to Ahmed's story over the next year, the next 5 years, the next 10 years. Will he be remembered like Oscar Schindler, or forgotten like Lassana Bathily? Ahmed Al-Ahmed tackled a gunman with a rifle, got shot 5 times, may lose his arm, saved dozens of lives. He's Muslim, he acted from Islamic principles that say, save innocent life. Lassana Bathily hid Jewish customers in a freezer during a terrorist attack. Turned off the lights, kept them quiet, saved their lives. He's Muslim, he acted from Islamic principles that say, protect the innocent. And within months of both cases we see. Maybe his role was exaggerated, maybe it wasn't as heroic as the media made it seem. Maybe we're the real victims here anyway. This isn't individual ingratitude from traumatized people. This is a systematic pattern of ensuring these stories don't create permanent cultural memory. Because, if they did, you'd see. Islamic principles work. Muslims protect non-Muslims. Community integration functions. Threat narrative collapses. Copycat heroism spreads. Society becomes safer, but that would disrupt frameworks that serve other purposes. So, here's what I want you to do. Watch what happens to Ahmed's story. Is he still being talked about a year from now? Does he receive major Australian honors, or just the GoFundMe money? Do survivors start adding complexity to the narrative? Does the story fade from public memory? If it follows the Bathily pattern, you'll know why. The pattern reveals the purpose. Muslim heroes who save Jewish lives threaten the eternal enemy framework. They break the Esau hates Jacob narrative. They demonstrate Islamic principles work. They create copycat potential, so they must be minimized, not amplified. Questioned, not celebrated. Forgotten, not remembered. If this changed how you see these stories, share this video. Make sure Ahmed's story doesn't fade like Bathily's did. And remember, when someone tells you Muslims are a civilizational threat, remind them of Ahmed Al-Ahmed and Lassana Bathily, the men who risked everything to save lives, and were minimized for it.